Hey everybody, Scout Crafty here again, Mishmash Monday. I think we have a really good episode planned. I'm looking forward to it. It's a really blustery, wintry day out. It's a good day to be in the shop. I'm in a good mood. Things are going well. The other day I was watching a movie. I love to escape sometimes with older movies. I'm not too crazy about the stuff they put out today because I am a man of the past, as you know. And this movie that I was watching was called River of No Return. And it was an old kind of a Western adventure movie, and it was with Robert Mitchum, Marilyn Monroe, Rory Calhoun. It was just a great movie. It was I love escaping in old movies. There are certain movies I watch religiously once a year or once every 2 years. I got to watch certain movies, but we all have our favorites, right? This one here, River of No Return, was so well done. It was shot in 1954, and it stars, like I said, Marilyn Monroe is really good in the movie. And I did a little research on her after seeing this movie a while back, and it turns out she was quite the character, so to speak. We know her as seeing her picture up all over the place, and the Happy Birthday, Mr. President, things like that. But she was really a nice person from all accounts that I can gather. Everybody that met her said she was such a really sweetheart. If you were somebody on the street and said, "Can I get a picture with you?" she was more than willing. She was a little hard to work with on the set, coming in late, things like that. But as far as a person, if you knew her or lived near her or something, she was supposed to be a real sweetheart. And and of course, Robert Mitchum, that guy, I've seen him in a few movies. And what I always liked about Robert Mitchum was he had an attitude like he just didn't care. I don't think anything ever worried that guy. And do you know, when you watch certain videos or movies and you see somebody for a while, even myself included, you can see through the facade. People try and put up a facade in the beginning, but you can see through it after a while. You know what movie actors are, kind of aloof in person, or won't give you the time of day, and there are some other ones that are more than friendly. You could pick up on that. Audiences know that. You can fool some of the people some of the time, but you can't fool all of the people all the time. And that's a perfect example. So Robert Mitchum just came off. He just was a guy that directors, he didn't care. And it came off the way, and the audiences loved them. And Marilyn Monroe, same thing. The audiences really took to her. And the funny thing about her performance in this movie, River of No Return, is she does all her own singing, which was impressive. If you listen to the song, she's very good. I was impressed. And shot in CinemaScope. If you get a chance to see it, you want to escape for a little while, watch the movie, relax, sit back, and for 2 hours, you'll be taken away. So, really enjoyed that movie. Okay, so to start off for today's show, I got a gift in the mail. First of all, I got an email from a good friend of mine, John Fix. Now, you know John Fix. He's one of our tool restoring crew. And it's funny, John started 2 years ago making videos. I think his first video was the Patriotic C-Clamp. He did a video on that, and that was 2 years ago. And since then, he's made 195 great videos. He's the one that basically got us into the tool walls. He was the one that started it out, and you have to see his tool wall of restored tools. Now, in 2 years it's only been, and he's restored hundreds of beautiful tools and put them on a wall. It just goes to show you what you can do with a little bit of effort and time and determination. So that's why this is such a great hobby, and he's such a great guy. He wrote me an email. He says, "Look, I got this. I know you like lamps. I'm a big light bulb guy." He says, "Would you want this?" And I said, "Are you kidding me? Of course I would want that." So 2 days later, look what shows up at my door. So here it is. How awesome is this? And what it is, it's a Voltec is the company that makes it. It's an illuminator. And what it is, it's a 400 HID. That stands for high intensity discharge. It's a metal halide lamp. And now we were just talking about that a week or two ago. And these lamps are really tremendous because what they do is it has to run off a ballast. You can't just put them into a socket. Here's the ballast. And what happens is it uses the current in such a way that there's gas in the tube. See, there's a bulb here. Inside the bulb, there's another bulb, and that's made of quartz, and there's a gas in there, and also some metal halide, and there's also like crystals, sodium crystals in some lamps, and there's also mercury in this one, and it creates a super high discharge, like an arc, and that makes it super bright, this bulb. So what happens is, when you turn it on, it's not super bright, but after about a minute or so, it becomes full brightness, and it uses tremendous amounts of heat and energy to make light. Unfortunately, 75% of the power that this thing uses is given off in heat, but you get a tremendous amount of light too. And what's interesting about these bulbs is, unlike my other monster bulb, here is one of my larger Frankenstein bulbs here. This one here, 1500 watts Sylvania, you could see here. Beautiful example of old-time technology, but this thing throws out a tremendous amount of light at 33,000 lumens. And but it draws about 12.5 amps at 1500 watts. It uses a lot of electricity, a lot of giving off it heat. And I'll show you the difference between this and the one that John sent me. So let's plug this bad boy in and fire her up. Okay, here we go. We're going to plug this in now. There we go. Now there we go. Tremendous amount of light here. You could see it around the shop, that the off light that it's throwing. It's just a tremendous amount. Obviously, the camera will dull it out so it don't look so bright, but that's 1500 watts. I could feel the heat from here. 12.5 amps. A lot of power consumption going on right there. Now, compare that to this bulb here. This bulb here will only draw 400 watts or 3.8 amps, very low, but it will give out 40,000 lumens, which is even brighter than that Frankenstein bulb. And but you could see that, you know, what they use these in, you'll see them used indoor and outdoor. You see them used in parks, in street lamps, in parking garages, and also parking lots. This is where you'll see these bulbs a lot of times, but they're phasing them out because even new technology has come along that's even more efficient. But let's plug this in, show you what it looks like. I'm going to plug this in now. They all take a couple minutes to warm up, so there we go. Plug this in. You could hear. There we have. It's kind of a pulse start. You see it starts off in a blue color. That's a bluish color. That's the mercury in there. And now what's going to happen as that warms up and heats up in there, it'll start changing colors, and eventually it'll become like about a 4,000 Kelvin in color, a very clean white light. And that takes about a minute, so we'll give that time to warm up. Now here we have the kilowatt to show you how much it's drawing, and you can see it's drawing under 4 amps. And if we go to watts right now, it's 430, 440, but that will change as it becomes more efficient. Okay, now you can see it's pretty much up to full brightness. It's only been a couple minutes, but you can see the difference. I mean, look at this bulb here to my left, right? Look at that. That's a compact fluorescent. Look at the color of that, and also the brightness of that compared to the brightness of this. And again, the camera is dulling it down. But you could see it's almost like looking at the sun. If it wasn't for the camera dulling this down, it's extremely bright, but a nice clean light. And you could see when if I look over here, you can see how it brightens up. Okay, I'm having, now the camera will adjust that. You can see how bright it is. It's extremely bright. As I get closer to it, then the camera dulls down. Now you can see here we're dropping again. We're at about 427 watts, and the amperage again 3.88. It's under 4 amps, and you get this tremendous amount of light. So what that means is it's so efficient, much more efficient than that other bulb, which had 3 times the power usage and less lumens. Just to give you an idea how bright it is, you can see Now, what you would use this for, temporary lighting, or if you wanted to have a barbecue or something, you would hang this up in the backyard. You need one light and it would light up the entire, it would make it into daytime.
When you stand back, you could really see the effect of how awesome this light is.
You know, I get so excited about light bulb and light bulb technology. It's just, I'm telling you, I get like goosebumps. I love this stuff. And especially the high efficient stuff they're coming out with now. Okay, next up, my buddy Jean Paul Simon. Shout out to him. We conversed back and forth in email. He was saying, hey, did you see that interesting video on the jerry can? And it just so happens I did when it came out. But I said, you know, I have one. I said, I have one because a long time ago I found it interesting. And if I found it interesting and he found it interesting, I think maybe some of you might find it interesting because I think it's the coolest thing ever. Let's talk about the jerry can.
Okay, and this is what we're talking about when we talk about jerry cans. Now, I am not going to go through the entire history and whatever because this is a piece of memorabilia as much as it is a useful item. Still used in NATO today. It's a fuel can, 20 liters. And this beautiful can was designed in 1930s in Germany. But I will put a link to the video of everything you want to know about this can. And the video was done very well, so I don't want to step on it. But I just want to give you a few reasons why I'm so excited about this type of can. Now, I've always had the original type of can that I was introduced to was one my father had from World War II or Korea. That was the American style can, which was very close looking to this, but absolutely different. And let me show you some of the differences between that can and this can. First of all, some of the design features of this can is absolutely brilliant. The three handles up here that could be carried by, you know, one person, two persons, or you could carry two cans by having the two inside handles gripping that, empty cans. This here has a cutout here. Now, the reason they do this is, number one, to strengthen the metal by putting these little beads, they call them, into the metal. But by having this little square spot in here, it gives expansion and contraction room so that when you put this into the sun or into a hot environment, that it will not leak by purging fluid, by expanding. So it gives it room to expand and contract. The seams here are welded all the way around, and they're below the surface grade, so you could stack this a bunch of different ways on either side, left, right, up, down, on its side. It's just a fantastic design. Let me show you some other features that this one has that the American can does. Now, the reason that I never liked the American cans, the one we have, I still have in the garage, is it had a wide spout, wider than this spout, but it was a spout that would just, no matter how you poured it, it would leak. You had to use a funnel, and no matter what size funnel you had, it would squirt out of the funnel. It would chug when you're pouring, chug, 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 chug. It was horrible, horrible design. This was the original design, and the reason they designed it so you didn't need any tools or a funnel or anything. It's not a screw-on cap like the American style. If that gets screwed on and it gets pressurized from the heat, you have a hard time getting that off, and they actually have a tool to help you get it off. This one here, let me show you how this works. First of all, this is a nozzle that would come with it, and you can either store it with it or you could take it off and have it on the side. But how this works is, you see this little pin here? It's a locking pin. Now, what they would normally have is a tag on here, a leaded tag, to show that if you were shipping this overseas, that this wasn't contaminated with, and you would break that tag off. And this is a pin that you could pull out like this, okay? Once that pin is pulled out, you would lift this up like this. You see here? You lift this up, and then the cap lifts off, and it gets placed down like that. Now this cap is locked in there. It will not fall forward when you go to pour it. This is actually a beautiful funnel. It works perfect. You could pour a nice stream without any chugging because of in here, see that little piece of sheet metal in here? That's a vent that lets air go into the tank as the fluid's coming out, so you don't get that chugging. Beautiful design. And to close it, you would just lift it up, forward, and then close it down like this. And notice these, you don't need any tools or anything. This pushes right down like that and closes and locks it in. And Then you would take the pin, put it in like that, and that's added security. There's a bunch of things that that this nozzle, again, unchanged, built in the 30s, fantastic design. Now, if you had to fill up smaller cans or stoves or things like that with a smaller receptacle, you would use a nozzle like this. And you can see it's a bendable nozzle. It has the gasket already in there. These gaskets are readily available all over the place. But what you would do is you would open up the can like this. Again, just as easy. Put store it up like that. Then you would take this here, and it only goes on one way, you see, because of the way the shape is. So you would turn it this way to put it on, and then these will clip right into the bottom here, and that's it. Now, when you push this down, I have a brand new gasket on there, so there we go. When you push that all the way down like that, that is solid and guaranteed leak proof. It does not leak like the other ones. Again, to release it, you would just pull this up like that, no tools needed, and you're back in business. Also, these tanks are coated with a special coating that's fuel resistant, and so that the tanks won't rust. It's a red type coating. These are made in Eastern Europe. They are the original ones, made from the same factory for decades. And as far as this seam goes, this is a welded seam that goes all the way around, and that is far superior than the American style that has a rolled seam, which is, after a while, can leak. These are tested, they're dropped on the nozzle, they go through all kinds of testing, and they also set them on fire with fuel inside of it. Now, the Americans now and have gone to a high-density polyethylene tank that looks very similar to this style, but it's different because, of course, it's polyethylene. And there is some advantages to plastic, but a lot of disadvantages. Whereas this here, although a little bit heavier, when it's empty, these things last forever. Steel gas tanks can last for a lifetime if you take care of them. The handle design here, you can see the knockoffs. You got to be careful because the knockoffs will have spot welds. One way to tell an original one is it has full welds all the way around the handles, the inside coating, and of course the big telltale thing with a lot of the knockoffs is they have a protruding seam, so that they can get damaged if they're laying there. This one here is a recessed seam that can't be touched. So the jerry can, it really is an interesting item that you wouldn't even think of. This is more or less almost like a World War II memorabilia, because this is exactly the way they were made back then in the 30s and 40s and World War II and so on. And they're not cheap. These things could run $65 just for the can. The spouts can be expensive, so it could run you about $80 for a can. So it's a lot of money, but like I said, I have it because it's a memorabilia. So in closing, these cans, like I said, they're a 20-liter can, which is just over 5 U.S. gallons, and the nozzle makes all the difference in the world. If you've ever used a U.S. Gas can, you might as well just dump half your gas on the floor to begin with, because that's where it's going anyway. That nozzle is horrible, that whole top end. But these are really nice can, and it's nice to see something that's made the same after almost 100 years. It's beautiful. Last up, I just want to say a special thanks again to John Fix for that beautiful portable work lamp. And if you haven't seen his channel and you want to see a beautiful tool wall, and we should help him he's at 966 subscribers, I think. Let's get him over 1,000. If you don't know who John is, I'll have a link in the description. Check out John's channel. Let's get him over 1,000 subscribers. And also I'll have a link to the jerry can video, so if you're interested in that. But anyway, thanks for stopping by. I hope you enjoy the rest of your week, and take care now. Bye-bye.